So I think there's a meaningful number of people who have doubts about the official narratives they're presented. They have doubts about what they see and experience in the world as compared to what they've been indoctrinated to believe. And the big one, they have doubts about the nature and character of the constructs and institutions they find themselves beholden to, especially when they realize they played no part in their construction or how they operate, but they don't dare acknowledge it outwardly, because there are powerful forces at work that prevent them from exploring those doubts. And that brings us to the 11th technique of mind control, the denial-hassle-ridicule factor. This one is particularly interesting to me because it goes straight to the issue I believe is even more foundational, more critical than even an understanding of natural law or individual sovereignty or objective morality or any of the other topics I focus on. And as we go through them, keep in mind that these are self-policing tactics. These require no effort or expense on the controller's part because we do these things to ourselves. That's right. No matter how many demonstrably evil, sociopathic control freaks we can point to as being the causes of our condition of slavery, the real culprit is in the mirror. So as we wave our flags and pledge our allegiance and give the outward signs of a free people, we're nothing more than slaves. So we busy ourselves with what slaves in the best conditions have to distract themselves. False choice politics and reform and getting the right people in the right places and draining swamps and bringing change and fighting the system and all of the other stupidity we've been handed. Never coming to the realization that all we're doing is redecorating the prison. So here we go. The denial-hassle-ridicule factor. Let's start with denial. And it ain't just a river in Egypt. This is a psychological mechanism, really an illness, where an organism capable of self-awareness and thinking comes under significant enough stress and suffering that it becomes too mentally, emotionally, and spiritually painful to deal with reality. In severe forms, this is referred to as cognitive dissonance, which I've spent some time on in prior episodes. Point. Oh, I'm sorry, it said point. I think another way of saying it that reinforces what I'm trying to convey is the stress we experience when presented with information that is not consistent with or challenges our beliefs. But back to that question, why? The answer is fear. Specifically, it's the fear that results from the inability to confront and acknowledge that the person is not taking full responsibility for the cause of their condition. It is the willing refusal to face the truth. So we come out of denial by moving from a state of fear to a state of love. And if you're seeing me for the first time, I'm not talking about romantic love or even brotherly love. This is the kind of love that comes from seeing no separation of self and other, which results in us really treating others as we want to be treated because a person in that state sees all as one. Denial, then, is the fear of knowing. So let's move on to ridicule. Ridicule is the preference to remain silent and in denial out of the fear of other people's reactions and possible withdrawal of their approval. Now, how many people struggle with this one? How many people know things, hell, at least something, that they know just isn't right? What they see with their own eyes is in direct contradiction with what they're hearing as the official narrative. It's there, tugging and gnawing, always itching for some attention because they know something's up. Maybe you know something's up. But then what about those other moms? The guys at work, not the people at the club? The odds just aren't really good that they're going to find a receptive audience, so they do what most of us do and stuff it.
Nothing wrong with silver.
Nothing wrong with silver at all.
I'm just kidding you, man. I don't want to win. I'll just bury it down inside.
Bury it deep down in there and never bring it up again.
It's painful, and I love you.
And while we've been trained to value what other people think about us so much that we'll betray our own intuition, our controllers, on the other hand, continue training generation after generation in the art of herding tax cattle. Because crazy as that may sound in the land of the free and the home of the brave, that's exactly what they see you as. And the controllers have diligently, unceasingly pursued their goals. And we're watching natural law play out right before our eyes because they have invested vast amounts of the two personal currencies of spending time and paying attention, and the most important act, which is care. They care about what they're doing, and it being bad for you and me doesn't matter to the universe. The cosmos rewards care, period. And the cure for this ill is the same as for denial, a shift from fear to love. Without fear, the courage to ask unpopular questions, to bring up taboo topics. And finally, we have hassle. This is the active avoidance of taking action even though the person has sufficient information to indicate that they should. It's lack of courage. It's the unwillingness to endure the inconvenience and discomfort that comes from taking right, moral action in the world. Meaning not committing acts personally that cause harm to others. But here's the kicker. Also not supporting institutions or belief systems that cause harm to others. And why would people support institutions or belief systems that cause harm to others? What is the cause of that? It is the belief in any human being or group of human beings having authority over others. Period. When you start there, the picture comes into focus very quickly. And of course, the way out of hassle avoidance is through a pursuit of greater understanding of who and why we are, which is love.